The massive alien research vessel hung silently in the void between stars, its curved hull gleaming under the distant starlight. Inside the ship's main observation deck, lead researcher Tom stood before the gathered Council of Sciences, his tentacles twitching with barely contained excitement. "Distinguished members of the Council," Tom began, his voice steadied despite his nervousness. "For centuries, we have detected strange signals from the spiral arm of our galaxy. Random bursts of electromagnetic waves that made no sense. Today, I believe I have proof that these signals come from an intelligent species." The council members stirred, their crystalline bodies reflecting light across the chamber walls. Head Counselor Ray, the oldest among them, leaned forward. "We have investigated thousands of such signals before. All were natural phenomena. What makes this different?" Tom activated the holographic display in the center of the chamber. A series of complex wave patterns appeared, floating in the air. "These signals are structured, mathematical. They repeat in patterns that cannot occur naturally. More importantly, they originate from a solar system we've long considered too unstable to harbor life." "Impossible," declared Counselor Mike, his crystal framework darkening with skepticism. "That system contains a Class G yellow star. Such stars are highly radioactive and unstable. No advanced civilization could evolve there." Tom moved his tentacles in a gesture of respectful disagreement. "And yet, the evidence suggests otherwise. We've detected artificial satellites, space debris, and what appear to be primitive space stations orbiting the third planet. The beings call their world Earth." The chamber erupted in murmurs. Earth was a name that had appeared in their records before, always dismissed as a scientific impossibility. The Council had long ago declared that any civilization claiming to originate from such a hostile environment must be lying or deluded. "If such beings exist," Ray said slowly, "they would be unlike anything we've encountered before. Their biology would have to be incredibly resilient to survive such harsh conditions. The gravity alone on such a world would crush most known life forms." Tom activated another hologram, showing thermal readings from the planet. "These beings appear to be carbon-based, existing in an oxygen-nitrogen atmosphere at temperatures that would boil most of our people alive. They've built vast cities across their world, despite regular geological upheavals and extreme weather patterns." "Fascinating," whispered Counselor Jim, her crystalline form glowing with interest. "But if they're real, why haven't they reached out to us? Why haven't they joined the galactic community?" Tom's tentacles drew close to his body, a sign of discomfort. "That's the most disturbing part. They don't seem to know we exist. They're still sending primitive radio signals into space, asking if anyone is out there. And..." He hesitated. "They appear to be heavily militarized." The council chamber grew silent. The concept of warfare was almost foreign to their peaceful civilization. They had evolved past such violence thousands of years ago. "What do you mean by militarized?" Ray asked carefully. "Their satellites include weapons platforms. Their space stations have defensive capabilities. And we've detected numerous artificial objects in their solar system that can only be classified as warships. These humans, as they call themselves, developed space flight capability not for peaceful exploration, but as an extension of their military reach." The council members' crystal bodies pulsed with varying colors of concern and fascination. They had discovered not just a new species, but one that had evolved in conditions they had deemed impossible, with a mindset entirely alien to their own peaceful nature. "We must approach this situation with extreme caution," Ray declared. "If these humans truly exist, they represent both an incredible scientific discovery and a potential threat. We need more information before we decide how to proceed." Tom nodded in agreement, but inside, he felt a mix of excitement and dread. The human's existence challenged everything his people thought they knew about life in the galaxy. And somewhere out there, on that impossible world called Earth, a species of warriors was looking up at the stars, asking questions, building ships, and preparing for a first contact they didn't yet know was coming. Little did the council know, their careful deliberation would soon be interrupted by events that would shake the foundation of their entire civilization, as humanity was about to make its presence known in a way none of them could have predicted. 3 standard cycles had passed since Tom's presentation to the council. The research vessel remained in position, carefully monitoring Earth's activities from a safe distance. But everything changed when their long-range sensors detected a massive energy surge from the human solar system. Emergency Council Session. Ray's voice echoed through the ship's communication system. All members report immediately. The council chamber filled quickly. Tom rushed in last, his tentacles wrapped around a data tablet. The central hologram showed a 3-dimensional map of space, with multiple red dots moving at impossible speeds. "Report," Ray commanded, his crystalline form pulsing with urgent colors. Tom's tentacles trembled as he analyzed the data. "The humans, they've somehow achieved faster-than-light travel. We're detecting multiple vessels leaving their solar system. Their energy signatures are massive." "Impossible," Mike declared. "Their technology was primitive just 3 cycles ago. They were still using chemical rockets." "They kept their advanced technology hidden," Jim suggested, her crystal structure dimming with worry. "The question is, why reveal it now?" The answer came moments later as the ship's sensors detected a new signal. A transmission, broadcast on all frequencies in perfect galactic standard language. The voice was deep, commanding, and unmistakably human. "To all alien civilizations monitoring Earth, we know you're out there. We've detected your observation vessels. For centuries, you've watched us, studied us, and chosen not to make contact. That ends today." The council chamber fell silent. Tom's tentacles coiled tightly around his tablet as the message continued. "We are humanity, and we refuse to be treated as specimens in your cosmic zoo. We have achieved faster-than-light travel, mastered antimatter technology, and built a fleet capable of defending our interests across the galaxy. We demand equal standing in the galactic community. You have 1 standard cycle to respond, or we will make our presence known in person." Ray's crystal body flashed with rapid colors of distress. "How many ships are we detecting?" Tom checked his readings. "Over 50 vessels, all heavily armed. Their technology, it's beyond anything we imagined. They've not only matched our level of advancement but in some areas, they've surpassed it." "How is this possible?" Mike demanded. "Even if they hid their technology, the energy requirements alone." "They live on a death world," Jim interrupted, her voice filled with sudden understanding. "Their entire history has been a constant battle for survival. Against gravity, radiation, natural disasters, and each other. They didn't just survive these conditions, they thrived in them. They turned their harsh environment into an advantage." The human transmission continued, "We know you consider our world impossible. You believe we shouldn't exist. Your scientists have dismissed us as a cosmic anomaly. But we are very real, and we are ready to take our place among the stars. The choice of how we do so is yours." Tom's tentacles moved in a pattern of deep concern. "The nearest human vessel will reach our position in less than half a cycle. Their weapon systems are active, though not locked on target. They're demonstrating both capability and restraint." Ray's crystal structure pulsed with the colors of decision. "We must respond. Not just our ship, but our entire civilization. Humanity has forced our hand, but perhaps this is for the best. We've hidden from them as much as they've hidden from us." "What do we tell them?" Tom asked. "The truth," Ray replied. "That we acknowledge their existence, respect their achievement, and welcome them to the galactic community. And then we must prepare our people for change. The galaxy as we know it will never be the same. As the Council drafted their response, the massive human warships drew closer, their hulls black against the starfield. They were beautiful and terrifying, a perfect representation of their creators, beings who had conquered the impossible and were now ready to reshape the galaxy in their image. The age of humanity had begun, and the galaxy would never be the same. The human warship, Defender, dwarfed the alien research vessel, its dark hull reflecting the distant starlight. Inside the Council chamber, final preparations were underway for humanity's first official contact with an alien civilization. "They're requesting permission to dock," Tom reported, his tentacles moving across the control panel. "Their ship's design, it's remarkable. The hull is made of materials we've never seen before." Ray stood at the center of the chamber, his crystalline form glowing with a mix of anxiety and anticipation. "Grant them permission. Let's hope our response was well received." The docking procedure was flawless, suggesting the humans had extensive experience with space operations. The chamber's entrance dilated, and for the first time, the Council members laid eyes on actual humans. 3 figures entered, wearing sleek black uniforms with silver insignias. The leader, who introduced himself as Admiral Jack, stood tall and straight, his presence commanding attention. His companions were Lieutenant Bob and Dr. Paul, a diplomat and a scientist respectively. "Thank you for accepting our arrival," Admiral Jack said, his voice matching the one from the transmission. "We appreciate your prompt response to our message." Ray moved forward, his crystal body shifting to produce calming colors. "We welcome you, though we must admit, your revelation was unexpected. We had no idea your civilization had advanced so far." "That was intentional," Lieutenant Bob explained, his diplomatic training evident in his measured tone. "We detected your observation posts years ago. Rather than confront you immediately, we chose to study you in return. We learned your language, your customs, and your technology." Tom's tentacles twisted in surprise. "You were watching us?" "Just as you watched us," Dr. Paul said with a slight smile. "We established cloaked observation posts near several of your worlds. Your civilization's peaceful nature is admirable, but your dismissal of our existence was troubling. We apologize for our assumptions," Jim spoke up, her crystalline structure pulsing with sincerity. "We simply couldn't believe life could evolve under such harsh conditions." Admiral Jack's expression remained neutral. "Those harsh conditions shaped us. Every challenge made us stronger, more innovative. While your civilization evolved in perfect conditions, we had to fight for every step forward. It gave us a different perspective on survival and progress." "Your warships," Mike said, unable to contain his curiosity. "Why reveal them first? Why not approach peacefully?" "Because strength is the only universal language," Lieutenant Bob replied. "We needed you to take us seriously from the start. Our history has taught us that perceived weakness often leads to conflict." "But we're a peaceful species," Ray protested. "We haven't engaged in warfare for thousands of years." "Exactly," Admiral Jack said. "And while we respect your peaceful nature, we needed to ensure you understood that humanity won't be dismissed or treated as primitive. We come seeking friendship, but as equals." Dr. Paul stepped forward, holding out a data device. "We've prepared a comprehensive overview of our civilization, technology, and capabilities. In return, we hope you'll share information about the broader galactic community." Tom took the device with trembling tentacles. "Your technology, how did you achieve such advances in secrecy?" "Necessity and determination," Admiral Jack answered. "Every time your scientists declared our world impossible, we pushed harder. Every challenge became an opportunity. We unified our planet not through peace, but through the shared goal of reaching the stars." Ray's crystal form pulsed with understanding. "And now that you're here, what are your intentions?" To join the galactic community as full members, Lieutenant Bob stated. To trade, to share knowledge, and yes, to ensure humanity's security. We come in peace, but we come prepared for any possibility. The council members exchanged glances. The humans before them represented everything they had thought impossible, a species that had not only survived but thrived in conditions they considered uninhabitable, who had matched their technological advancement through sheer determination and ingenuity. As the discussions continued, one thing became clear: the galaxy's peaceful status quo was about to change. Humanity had arrived, bringing with them not just advanced technology and powerful warships, but a completely different perspective on survival and progress. The question now was how this new dynamic would reshape the future of interstellar relations. The meeting continued in the council chamber, but the atmosphere had shifted dramatically when Dr. Paul activated a holographic display showing Earth's true military capabilities. This is just one of our defense platforms, he explained as the image showed a massive orbital station. We have dozens like it throughout our solar system, all perfectly cloaked until now. Tom moved closer to the hologram, his tentacles wavering in disbelief. These energy readings, they're beyond anything we've ever achieved. How did you manage to hide such power signatures? Admiral Jack smiled slightly. We didn't just develop faster-than-light travel. We mastered energy containment and stealth technology out of necessity. We knew we weren't alone in the galaxy, and we wanted to be prepared for any possibility. But why? Ray asked, his crystalline form pulsing with confusion. Why invest so heavily in military technology when you could have focused on peaceful exploration? Lieutenant Bob stepped forward. Earth's history taught us a harsh lesson. In our past, whenever a technologically advanced civilization encountered a less advanced one, the results were often devastating for the latter. We refused to risk becoming the victims of such a scenario. The hologram shifted to show the interior of a human warship. The level of automation and technological sophistication left the council members speechless. Weapon systems that could target multiple threats simultaneously, shields that could withstand the force of a small sun, and engines that bent space itself. We've watched your civilization for years, Admiral Jack continued. We know you're peaceful, and we respect that. But we've also detected other species in the galaxy who aren't so benevolent. Species that might see Earth as a prize to be conquered, if they knew about us. Jim's crystal structure darkened with concern. The destroyers, you know about them? We do, Dr. Paul confirmed. We intercepted your encrypted communications about them. A species that consumes entire worlds, destroying everything in their path. They're one of the reasons we developed our military capability in secret. The council chamber fell silent. The destroyers were the galaxy's darkest secret, a hostile force that even their peaceful civilization had been preparing to face. The fact that humans knew about them changed everything. We've tracked their movements, Admiral Jack revealed, changing the hologram to show a map of the galaxy. They're methodical, moving from one sector to another. By our calculations, they'll reach your civilization's outer colonies within 5 years. Ray's crystal body flashed with alarm. How could you possibly know this? Because we've already engaged them in battle, Lieutenant Bob said quietly. 6 months ago, one of their scout ships discovered Earth. They thought we would be easy prey. They were wrong. The hologram showed footage of the battle. A massive destroyer vessel, organic and nightmarish in appearance, approaching Earth. Then, suddenly, humanity's hidden fleet emerging from seemingly nowhere. The battle was brief but decisive. The destroyer ship, despite its fearsome reputation, was completely overwhelmed by human military technology. Impossible, Mike whispered. The destroyers have never been defeated in direct combat. We're offering an alliance, Admiral Jack stated firmly. Not just for trade or cultural exchange, but for mutual defense. Your civilization has the resources and knowledge of the galaxy. We have the military capability and the will to fight. Together, we can stop the destroyers before they consume more worlds. Tom's tentacles coiled tightly. You didn't reveal yourselves just to join the galactic community, did you? You revealed yourselves because you know what's coming. Correct, Dr. Paul confirmed. The scout ship we destroyed sent a message back to its fleet. They know about Earth now, and they'll come in force. But this time, they'll find not just humanity waiting for them, but hopefully, a united galactic defense. The council members looked at each other, their crystalline bodies reflecting the gravity of the situation. The humans hadn't just surprised them with their existence and advancement, they had arrived just when the galaxy needed them most. Ray moved to the center of the chamber, his crystal form glowing with resolution. Tell us everything you know about the destroyers. It's time we stopped hiding from this threat. The next 12 hours aboard the research vessel were intense. The council chamber had been transformed into a war room, with holograms showing tactical displays, fleet movements, and defense scenarios. Admiral Jack stood at the central console, explaining humanity's battle strategies against the destroyers. Their organic ships have one critical weakness, he said, highlighting specific points on the holographic destroyer vessel. They rely on a sophisticated neural network. Disrupt it, and the entire ship becomes vulnerable. Tom studied the tactical data with his tentacles moving rapidly across multiple screens. This is remarkable. You've mapped their entire biological structure. Even after centuries of observation, we never managed to gather this much intelligence about them. Because you observed from a safe distance, Lieutenant Bob explained. We had no choice but to engage them directly. The scout ship's remains provided invaluable data. Ray's crystal form pulsed with urgency as he reviewed the predicted invasion routes. According to your calculations, the main destroyer fleet will reach our space within 5 years. But how can we be certain they'll follow these patterns? Dr. Paul stepped forward, activating a new hologram showing complex mathematical equations. We've analyzed centuries of their movement data from your archives. Combined with our own observations, we've identified clear patterns in their behavior. They're not just mindless destroyers, they're methodical, strategic. And that makes them predictable. We've already begun mobilizing our fleet, Admiral Jack continued. The ships you've seen are just a fraction of our true forces. We have 3 main battle groups ready to deploy across the galaxy, each equipped with our latest weapons and stealth technology. Jim's crystalline structure brightened with hope. Your technology, it could protect our outer colonies. But our people have no experience with warfare. We don't know how to fight. You don't need to fight, Lieutenant Bob assured her. Your people can provide support, intelligence, and resources. Let humanity be the sword and shield of the galaxy. It's what we've prepared for our entire history. Mike, who had been quiet for some time, finally spoke. Your weapons, your ships, your tactics, you've built everything around combating threats like the destroyers. How long have you really known about them? Admiral Jack's expression grew serious. We detected their quantum communication signals 50 years ago. We didn't know what they were at first, but we knew they weren't friendly. That's when Earth's governments united with a single purpose, to ensure humanity's survival against any cosmic threat. The Great Unity, Dr. Paul added. We put aside our differences, pooled our resources, and focused on developing technologies that could protect not just Earth, but any world that needed defense against such threats. Tom's tentacles suddenly stiffened as new data appeared on his screens. Emergency signal from the outer rim. A destroyer scout group has been detected entering the Proxima sector. The chamber erupted in alarm, crystal bodies flashing with panic colors. But Admiral Jack remained calm, a slight smile forming on his face. Right on schedule, he said, activating his communication device. Battle Group 2, execute Operation Thunderbolt. The tactical display lit up with dozens of new signals as human warships emerged from stealth mode throughout the Proxima sector. The destroyer scouts, caught completely by surprise, found themselves surrounded by a force they never knew existed. "Watch and learn," Admiral Jack told the stunned council members. "This is how humanity fights." The battle that unfolded on the tactical display was unlike anything the council had ever seen. Human ships moved with incredible precision, their advanced weapons targeting the destroyer's neural networks with surgical accuracy. Within minutes, the scout group had been completely neutralized, with no civilian casualties or collateral damage. "This was just a small demonstration," Lieutenant Bob said to the awestruck council. "But the real war is coming. The destroyers will learn of this defeat, and they'll come with everything they have. The question is, will your civilization stand with us?" Ray looked at his fellow council members, seeing the same resolution in their crystalline forms. Their peaceful civilization had never wanted war, but now they had no choice. With humanity, analyzed the incoming data streams. They're using a new form of quantum propulsion. Their neural networks have evolved, becoming more complex. They're learning, adapting to our tactics. "Good," Admiral Jack said with grim satisfaction. "Let them come. Battle Group 1 through 5, assume attack formation Delta. Operation Sword of Dawn is now in effect." The council chamber's holographic display showed hundreds of human warships moving into position. Each battle group carried weapons specifically designed to counter the destroyer's biological technology. Lieutenant Bob coordinated with the council's worlds, ensuring civilian populations were protected. "Energy spike!" Tom suddenly shouted. "They're attempting something new." The tactical display erupted with warning signals as the destroyer fleet executed a massive quantum jump, appearing much closer than expected. Their organic ships, each the size of a small moon, formed a terrifying armada that stretched across the sector. "They've never attempted a coordinated jump of this magnitude," Jim observed, her crystal form pulsing with worry. "Their neural network must have evolved to allow for synchronized fleet movements." Admiral Jack's expression remained steady. "All ships, execute Protocol Omega. Show them humanity's full power." What happened next left the council members in awe. The human fleet, previously arranged in standard combat formation, suddenly split into thousands of smaller units. Each ship activated a previously unseen weapon system, quantum disruptors that targeted the very fabric of spacetime around the destroyer vessels. "The neural network is their strength," Dr. Paul explained as the battle unfolded. "But it's also their weakness. By disrupting the quantum field around their ships, we can isolate them from each other, turning their greatest advantage into a liability." The destroyers, for the first time in their known history, showed signs of confusion. Their perfectly coordinated fleet began to fragment as ship after ship lost connection to the central neural network. But they weren't defeated yet. "New energy signature," Tom warned. "They're charging their main weapons." As expected, Admiral Jack replied calmly. "All ships, activate quantum shields. Show them what humanity's been hiding all these years." The destroyer fleet unleashed a devastating barrage, enough firepower to shatter planets. But the human ship's quantum shields held firm, absorbing and redirecting the energy in ways that defied conventional physics. Ray's crystal form glowed with amazement. "Your shield technology, it's not just defensive, is it?" "Correct," Lieutenant Bob confirmed. "Watch what happens when we return their own energy." The human fleet's shields began to pulse with accumulated power. Then, in perfect synchronization, they released it back at the destroyer fleet. The redirected energy, combined with the quantum disruption field, created a cascading effect through the destroyer's neural network. "Their ships are losing cohesion," Tom reported excitedly. "The biological components are breaking down." But victory wasn't assured yet. The destroyer fleet, though damaged, launched a desperate counterattack. Several human ships took direct hits, their quantum shields flaring as they absorbed unprecedented levels of energy. "All ships, execute final phase," Admiral Jack commanded. "Show them why humanity survived on a death world." The human fleet moved with incredible precision, each ship performing maneuvers that should have been impossible. They had trained for this moment for decades, preparing for a battle that would determine the fate of the galaxy. As the massive space battle reached its crescendo, one thing became clear to the watching council members: humanity hadn't just prepared for war, they had revolutionized it. The galaxy would never be the same after this day. The space battle had reached its final phase. The massive destroyer fleet, once seemingly invincible, was now scattered and broken. But the remaining ships fought with desperate fury, their biological weapons evolving even in the midst of combat. "They're attempting to merge their neural networks," Tom announced, his tentacles moving frantically across the sensor displays. "The surviving ships are combining into a single entity." Admiral Jack watched as the remaining destroyer vessels began to fuse together, forming a terrifying organic mass that pulsed with dark energy. "This is it, their final adaptation. All ships, initiate Protocol Omega Final. Authorization code, Earth remembers." Lieutenant Bob's eyes widened. "Admiral, that protocol hasn't been tested in actual combat. The energy requirements alone could. We have no choice," Admiral Jack interrupted. "This is what we built it for. This is why we hid our true capabilities for so long." The human fleet began to move in perfect synchronization, forming a complex geometric pattern around the merged destroyer mass. Each ship's quantum shields started pulsing with a strange, rhythmic energy that seemed to bend the fabric of space itself. "What are they doing?" Ray asked, his crystal form fluctuating with confusion and awe. Dr. Paul stepped forward, his face grave. "We're creating a quantum resonance field. Every ship, every weapon, every shield, they're all part of a single massive weapon system. We developed it by studying the destroyer's own neural network technology." The merged destroyer entity seemed to sense the danger. It lashed out with weapons of unimaginable power, but the human fleet held firm, their formation unwavering. The space around them began to distort as the quantum resonance field grew stronger. "Energy levels are beyond anything we've ever recorded," Tom reported, his tentacles trembling. "The fabric of spacetime itself is being affected." "That's the point," Admiral Jack said quietly. "The destroyers adapt to everything they encounter, using their neural networks," Tom announced, his tentacles moving frantically across the sensor displays. "The surviving ships are combining into a single entity." Admiral Jack watched as the remaining destroyer vessels began to fuse together, forming a terrifying organic mass that pulsed with dark energy. "This is it, their final adaptation. All ships, initiate Protocol Omega Final. Authorization code, Earth remembers." Lieutenant Bob's eyes widened. "Admiral, that protocol hasn't been tested in actual combat. The energy requirements alone could. We have no choice," Admiral Jack interrupted. "This is what we built it for. This is why we hid our true capabilities for so long." The human fleet began to move in perfect synchronization, forming a complex geometric pattern around the merged destroyer mass. Each ship's quantum shields started pulsing with a strange, rhythmic energy that seemed to bend the fabric of space itself. "What are they doing?" Ray asked, his crystal form fluctuating with confusion and awe. Dr. Paul stepped forward, his face grave. "We're creating a quantum resonance field. Every ship, every weapon, every shield, they're all part of a single massive weapon system. We developed it by studying the destroyer's own neural network technology." The merged destroyer entity seemed to sense the danger. It lashed out with weapons of unimaginable power, but the human fleet held firm, their formation unwavering. The space around them began to distort as the quantum resonance field grew stronger. "Energy levels are beyond anything we've ever recorded," Tom reported, his tentacles trembling. "The fabric of spacetime itself is being affected." "That's the point," Admiral Jack said quietly. "The destroyers adapt to everything they encounter, using their neural network to evolve and overcome any weapon. But they've never faced something that turns their own evolutionary ability against them." The quantum resonance field reached its peak, creating a complex web of energy that encompassed the entire battlefield. The destroyer entity, trapped within this web, began to pulse erratically as its neural network tried to adapt to the quantum disruption. "Their biological components are destabilizing," Dr. Paul announced, monitoring the readings. "The neural network is attempting to evolve, but each evolution is being reflected back at them, creating a feedback loop." The council members watched in amazement as the mighty destroyer entity began to collapse in on itself, its own evolutionary power becoming its undoing. The human fleet maintained their formation, channeling more power into the quantum field despite the enormous strain on their ships. "Multiple ships reporting critical power levels," Lieutenant Bob warned. "We can't maintain this for much longer." "We don't need to," Admiral Jack replied, a look of fierce determination on his face. "Look!" The destroyer entity made one final attempt to break free, its mass writhing in space as it tried to adapt. But the quantum resonance field had created an inescapable trap, using the very essence of the destroyer's power to ensure their destruction. With a final, massive surge of energy, the entity collapsed completely, its neural network torn apart by its own attempted evolution. As the energy reading subsided, silence fell over the command center. The tactical display showed only the human fleet and empty space where the destroyer threat had once been. "Victory confirmed," Tom announced, his voice filled with disbelief. "The destroyer fleet has been completely eliminated." The council chamber erupted in celebration, crystal bodies flashing with colors of joy and relief. But Admiral Jack's expression remained serious as he turned to address them. "This victory came at a cost," he said. "Many of our ships are damaged, and the quantum resonance weapon can never be used again. The energy discharge has permanently altered the local spacetime fabric. But more importantly, the galaxy now knows the truth about humanity." Ray moved forward, his crystal form glowing with respect. "You've saved countless worlds. The galaxy will forever be in humanity's debt." "We don't seek debt or gratitude," Admiral Jack replied. "What we seek is partnership. The destroyers are gone, but the galaxy still holds many dangers. Will you stand with us in facing them?" The council members looked at each other, then at the humans who had just changed the course of galactic history. The answer was unanimous. The age of isolation was over. The age of unity had begun, with humanity leading the way into a new era of galactic peace, not through passive observation, but through strength, determination, and the willingness to face any challenge head-on. For in the end, the impossible humans had proven that the greatest power in the universe wasn't the ability to destroy, but the courage to stand and fight for what was right.